The name's Mabus, and welcome to the month of Zelda moments. This week we'll be going over the ones that I found to be the most surprising. Now, quick disclaimer, sometimes I can be a few books short of a library, so some things that may seem obvious could have definitely surprised me. However, that being said, I seem to remember a few times where others were surprised, yet it was completely apparent to me, and not at all shocking. Tis the nature of independence, isn't it? Well, Zelda was right about one thing. I did know that I was the hero. I mean, there's no surprise there. It's only been like that in every single game. In fact, it's the very premise of the game itself. But Zelda as the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia? Well, that's surprising. For as much as the Temple of the Ocean King was incredibly annoying, I did enjoy playing Phantom Hourglass. I thought it was a great game, and one of the main reasons for this was Linebeck. What a fantastic character. He made the Phantom Hourglass so entertaining that I wished he was in more games. And with Spirit Tracks being a direct sequel and basically a copy and paste twin game with similar characters, I figured that maybe Linebeck would return in some fashion. However, during my playthrough of Spirit Tracks, I didn't spend much time in the southeast corner of the Forest Realm. And if I did, I didn't explore it too much. So my desire for a Linebeck return was starting to diminish. That was until one day I did a little bit more investigating in the trading post and stumbled across this. Linebeck! Even if it was just a smaller part in the game, it was still well worth it. Some surprises are, well, surprising. They shock the shit out of you in a jump scare-like fashion. However, every once in a while, you find a horror-like surprise that builds up tension and questions reality. Now, Princess Hilda's heel turn in A Link Between Worlds isn't sudden, but it still did surprise me, even with all of the red flags that appeared every time you defeated a temple boss. It started out that she wanted to help you on your quest. She would provide helpful tips and information to assist on your journey. After the first few dungeons, she provided encouragement and reinforced your belief in your goals. But after a few more dungeons, she started to shift her focus to almost completing her goals, not yours, and that Lorule would be saved, not Hyrule or Zelda. Kinda sus. But I let it slide, because we're basically after the same goal anyway, right? I save Hyrule by saving Lorule. It makes sense, right? Of course she's getting excited.
That actually makes sense.
If there was ever a perfect build-up to a heel turn, this was it. Slowly integrate little tidbits of mistrust over time, leading up to a massive climax event. And even though I sensed this surprise coming and wasn't completely shocked by her behavior when she turned on me, I still couldn't believe that it was actually happening when it did. And that is why it made this list. It was more of a shock that the storyline was so good and actually panned out the way I thought it should. Sometimes you are surprised by not knowing, and sometimes you are surprised that you knew. Say what you want about Skyward Sword, but there's no denying that it has one of the best storylines in all of the Zelda franchise. In fact, it even has multiple mini storylines within the main one itself. One of them is the origin of the Master Sword and how it came to be. In order to travel back in time and find Zelda, you need to power up your goddess sword so it is strong enough to activate the Gate of Time. In order to do this, the sword needs to be bathed in the sacred flames from across the land. After each flame enhancement, the sword changes color and shape. And as I was playing through for the first time, I didn't think anything of it, other than, nice, my sword is stronger and looks cooler now. I like it. It wasn't until the very last sacred flame in the Fire Sanctuary where everything came full circle. I was eagerly waiting to see what upgrades the goddess sword give me this time, and it's the motherfucking Master Sword! I couldn't believe it, and I just stared at Link holding it skyward for like 3 minutes. This whole time, I was packing the Master Sword, and I didn't even know it. Throughout your journey in A Link Between Worlds, you come across a very peculiar place called Lorule, the opposite mirror image of Hyrule. And I put emphasis on mirror. Literally everything has a polar opposite. From the blacksmith to the milk bar, and all of the overworld and its baddies in between is a mirror image of Hyrule. And throughout this game I would notice and be well aware of this, and even approach places eager to see just how opposite they were to Hyrule, and was even somewhat amused by it all. I noticed that Hilda was Zelda, Yuga was Ganon, and so on. But not once did it ever remotely cross my mind, where is Link's counterpart? Even with all the hints dropped over the course of this game, like, why is this Lorule house vacant in the exact same spot mine is in Hyrule? And
who in the blue hell
is this annoying Ravio guy who has this weird pet bird thing follow him around? Is it supposed to be a Navi reference? I'm not impressed. Cut to the end of the game after the final boss, which, like I mentioned earlier, is one of the best storyline lead-ups I've ever seen that had me so immersed in its dialogue, to only at the very height of the dramatic cutscene send in a goofy Ravio belly flopping across the screen to interrupt. And all I can think is, seriously? You had to ruin a great moment with fucking Bathos and comedy relief Ravio? How the hell could this sick freak be of any relevance to the plot at this point? Then he took off his mask. Yep, you see that look on Link's face? That was me. My jaw hit the dirt. I still get goosebumps thinking of it, even after several playthroughs. And just like the Master Sword in the previous entry, the most significant mirror image I was looking for in this game was right in front of me the entire time. The name's Mabus, and many of you may have seen the Ravio reveal coming a mile away during your playthrough, and I can appreciate such wisdom for observing such a feat. I imagine you probably felt just a little bit like I did when I knew without a shadow of a doubt that Sheik would reveal herself to be Zelda in Ocarina of Time. Now with that being said, that wraps up the most surprising moments in Zelda. Next, on to 3 categories that aren't so surprising. So in the meantime and in between time, stay tuned for more.